This is going over the cosine rule to find sides on non-right angle triangles. Now, before you do this, you've got to realise the labelling of a triangle, angles are always capital, so A, B, C. And then the sides are lowercase a, b, c. It doesn't matter where your A, B, C and so on are, but it's important that it's vital that the capital is opposite the lowercase letters each time. And also make the unknown side you want to find lowercase a. This helps when using the formula, which we'll look at now. So the actual formula, this is chunky and you do have to memorize it. So the cosine rule to find sides is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. And then to find it for angles, which won't be using this video, is this formula rearranged to make cos a the subject. So if you remember the top one, you can do the bottom one just by rearranging it yourself. You don't need to memorize that fully. Now let's jump into an example running through it. So with this here, the first thing you have to do once you see a question is you have to label your triangle. Now, what's good that you notice, because it won't tell you to use a cosine rule, you'll often see that you have an angle with two sides next to it like that. And it'll say find a side. So it'll be a good way to indicate. So I'm going to label this here. I'm going to make that A, because that is my angle that I know. This A is lowercase, and then B and C doesn't actually matter which way round they are too much, okay? Doesn't matter, so keep it like that. So decide which formula you're using. Well, that's, for this case, it's the one that's above. So it's a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. And I advise writing that each time you solve one right now, just so you memorize that formula. So then once you've done that, substitute in known values, okay? So substitute what you know. So a squared we don't know, so it stays as a squared. B squared, so that is 9 here, so 9 squared, plus c squared, which is 8, minus 2 times b, which is 9, times c, which is 8, times cos a, which is 50. Now I'm going to put brackets around that, and it'll make sense when I put it in my calculator. So I've got it here. So I'm going to start off writing it. So I've got, start with 9 squared plus 8 squared. So start with that, minus 2 times 9 times 8. So it doesn't matter if you put 8 times 9. Same here, it doesn't matter if you put 8 squared plus 9 squared. And then from here, times cos 50. So the brackets is because the calculator automatically puts a bracket, so you remember to close your bracket there. Press equals on that, and you get an answer. So I've got a squared equals 52.4. But because we don't want a squared, we want just a for the side, you have to square root that answer. So that's where you press the square root button, the answer key on your calculator, press equals, and you get your solution. So a for this one equals 7.24, 2 decimal places. So let's look at a second example here. So start off, you've got to label that triangle. So A, I said B and C don't matter, but A is more important on this one. So A there, that's C, it's opposite the angle, and that one is B. So that means, well, because we're finding sides, it's going to be that A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2bc cos A. Once you get to memorize the formula, better, it'll be quicker. So substitute in what I know. So I don't know a squared. b squared is 10, so 10 squared plus 36, sorry, oh, I squared it already, plus 6 squared minus 2 times 10 times 6, so my 2bc, times by cos, bracket there, 35. Okay, and then once you've done that, into your calculator, so 10 squared plus 6 squared minus 2 times 10 times 6 times cos 35, close that bracket off, so I've got it looking like that, press equals, and you get a squared equals 37.7, so on. But we don't want a squared, we want a, so we're going to square root that answer, press square root and the answer key, press equals, and we get an answer of 6.14 centimeters. Now I know some people like to do this in sections, so they'll do just this part in their calculator, write it down, and that part, write it down, but you can just write it in one and do it. So I've got one example here for you to pause and give a go, and I'll go over that answer for you. All right, so starts off, label that triangle. So A, B, C, and then opposites are lowercase. All right, so which formula we're using? Well, it's the same one at the moment, just so remember it. So a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. Substituting those values that you know, well, we don't know a squared, but we know b squared is 20, is 20 squared. C squared is 15 squared minus 2 times 20 times 15 times cos a, which is 70. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to get your calculator again. So I've got 20 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 20 times 15 times cos 70, close the bracket off, press equals, and you get 419 is what a squared is, or 0.8 I'll call it, but I don't want that, so I'm going to square root it just to get a. So square root answer, and it gives me a as 20.49 to 2 decimal places. And that is cosine rule to find an unknown side.